Hello, this is a VCV Rack tutorial on drums, drum beats. Here you can see I have sampler, 6 of them, right? That's the Lomas Sampler. Here we go, right there. It's a really nice sampler. You can click on the load button and load complete folders of sounds. Then you can, with the sample knob, scan through the files in that folder. You can change the start and end point. You can tune it. You can change the attack, the decay, and then there's a lot of CV connections to control that as well. So those seem to work pretty good for me because you can tune it, and a lot of times I'm playing around with the tuning and the attack. I wanted to get drums that changed over time, so the Impromptu Gate-Seq was the option for me. And then I use 8-face to change the patterns. So see, when the 8-face changes, the gates change. So notice when this changes, the highlighted gates change, right? So let me show you how to do this. It's not too hard. See, we can probably just initialize all this, and we'll just solo the kick and snare. So right now, when I play run, nothing's running. Right? And I'm just using the one sequence. Now, Impromptu Gate-Seq 64 can do a lot more. You can do multiple sequences and chain them up into a song and create a whole series of sequences back to back. That's cool. I've done that, but I kind of like how 8-face works. So I'm going to put it in write mode, and I'm picking up that there, and we'll just stop this for now. And so this will be my kick. So if I want a 4 on the floor, right, I can save that. If I want to add the snare, click on that, right. If I want to add some ghost snares, click on that, find what you like. And then when you have all your different patterns set, I did all 8. Here in this example, we'll just do 3. Click on the last one, and it'll deactivate your others. So now I have my different patterns. Right? There's the 4 on the floor. And notice it's all still sequence 1, but the patterns change because I've 8 faces saving the snapshots essentially of the Gate-Seq. So that's how that works. And I did that with the hi-hats as well. And so I have 2 clocks, impromptu clocks. This took me a while to figure out, but you can chain your clocks together. I like this clock, but sometimes 3 clocks are not enough. I need more. So if you run the reset, run in BPM, from the first clock to the second clock, you'll chain them together. So they'll hit take the same BPM, and then you can have different ratios. After I recorded my 8-face presets and changes, then I have the second clock here divided by 8, changing that. All right, I have the reset going too. And then this one here for the hi-hats is my hi-hat gates. That is changing with the clock at divided by 4, so a little faster. These 1x8s are just ways to clean up cabling, so they're just really the resets. Instead of having resets coming from the clock going everywhere, it just goes to the 1x8. This is by SynthKit, the 1x8 splitter, and then it just goes to the resets of the different devices. Besides 8-face, Stoermelder makes glue, and glue allows you to put these labels on there. So you just click on the label, and I can click here and right click on there to label it, and you can change the appearance, the width, the size, all that stuff, the length of the masking tape, the font, not a lot of font types, but colors too. So that's really helpful. I like also these Submarine TD-202 are little panels, blank panels you can label. And so I have one kick And then these two rows, the fourth gate I'm not using, but gates 2 and 3 I'm using for snares. So one of the things about snares, a real drummer usually gets a lot of different snare sounds depending on how hard they hit the snare drum. There might be a way to do it in the Gate-Seq. I'm learning VCV Rack just like everyone else, but I couldn't figure that out. So I have 2 snares, and essentially for different velocities. So this is the main snare, which has the big hits, and then this one here is sort of like my ghost snare. Right, so that's this one here. It's the same snare sample. I changed the attack a little bit to kind of so it's not so sharp at the point of attack, and lowered the volume a little bit, so it just adds to the main snare. Right. I also, in the effects, I got, of course, Plateau, the reverb. I don't really put reverb on my kicks, but on my snares I definitely do. And then I have the Chrono Blob delay, which amazing delay. And on the, let's solo this. On the ghost snare, I added a little more delay. And then I also put the Mverb, which is a little more like a, I don't know, almost like a plate reverb sound, and I put that on that snare too. Right, so if we turn that all off when it kicks in. So there it is without it. Pretty dry. But add some delay. That's the Chrono Blob, which just added a little more energy, but this adds a little more kind of timbre and more of a reverb and kind of a delay sound also as well. So that together with the original snare and the kick, I was able to get a pretty realistic drum beat. That changes over time, right? With the 8-face. Right? 8-face, if you don't know about 8-face, it is Omri Cohen has some great videos on that, and others as well. But there it is. Let's see, what could we do? Let's put, we'll change the filter here. You want to make sure it's pointing to the device you want to control. So I want to control this here, so I'm going to right click on here and module to the right, so now the arrow is pointing that way. And essentially it'll capture like a snapshot of your device. So I'm just going to click on there. Let's go in write mode. So that's my first recording of my settings. So now let's put the frequency down, the filter up a little bit, hit record. Maybe we'll drop this, raise that, bring that back up. Right? And there it is. So now I went back to read mode. Click on here, see how they jump back? Very cool. Very useful. If you do a long click on your last one, so I only have 3 set up, then the other ones will turn off effectively. And now we can take a clock, put it into the slot, and now it's changing my settings. Very, very, to me, brings VCV Rack up to the next level, for sure. Because now you can change settings. The bottom is my hi-hats. So I have gate 1. Again, I'm using just 3 gates, but gates 1 and 2 are my hi-hats. So gates 1 and 2 are my closed hi-hats. And I have different samples on there, playing different patterns, and so they will sound... So just having the 2 different gates gave me some more energy, right? And they're a little different in sound, and it just kind of was a sound I liked. The last one is the open hi-hat, and that's going through the Maccomo filter by Studio 6+1. And I put a filter on there because the sample is pretty bright, so I just wanted to reduce the brightness a little bit. I mean, you can see even the volume's down and it's still pretty up there. And then, you can bring the drive up. This is a really nice filter. And so that adds to my hi-hats, right? And then I have another 8-face with 8 different settings of my patterns going through a clock that's twice as fast as the clock for the kick and snare. And so then you get the drum beat like this. Pretty happy with this. This is, I can use this for sure. This is a good beat. I definitely will use this in other stuff. And then, I have the MindMeld mixer. I definitely use this EQ. So, you route the EQ to your mixer through these connections, right? Polyphonic there. And if you right click on there, fetch track names from mixer. So the default's to off. I don't know why. I always put it to master. And that way when you move the knob here, it will read the names of your channels. Right, so here's my EQ for kick. Right, so I usually cut out low end, like below 40 hertz. Here's my snare. Again, cut out some of the low end, added some of the where the snare was popping. That's the ghost snare, so I took out some of the highs to mute it a little bit, to make it a little less prominent. Then these are my hi-hats. So if there's any low end energy in here, it shouldn't be in your mix, so I use the EQ to cut all that stuff out. And the second closed hi-hat, I reduced the highs a little bit. And then the open hi-hat, I reduced them a lot. Kind of in combination with the Maccomo filter and the EQ, we reduced it so it's not as in your face. And that is my video on drums in VCV Rack.